Hello, welcome to another video, this time Dungeon a Day. I've done quite a few of these calendar map things now, going back from April right the way up to today. And if you head over to Odd Artworks, you can get any of them as either a digital file or I'll send you a physical A3 map, limited edition, including the map produced in this video as well. You can also get a copy of the zine on there, digital or physical, and all my D100 prompt lists, including this one and for December. Right, let's go. Let's see what we get. First one, Statue of a Great Wizard. Okay, I've done a few of these now, and I never quite know how to start them. I always try and think of an entrance, but with this one, because the calendar started with only two kind of squares on the row, I really didn't know where to go. I didn't know whether this was going to be a roof, an entrance, or what, so I tried to keep it quite simple and kind of not really commit to anything, so really just an old wizard. And then our next one was a phoenix, so this was quite an easy one to kind of incorporate in, just have the phoenix being quite a fiery, kind of maybe ghostly bird that's kind of flying out the statue, so whatever's disturbed this wizard-based location, because I didn't really have a narrative at this point, has disturbed the phoenix. Next one, draconic influence. Now when I did this, I kind of thought this would be like the major feature of the dungeon, and it really didn't in the end. So I kind of planned to do the head in the prompt that I got and kind of continue the body along, so I had that big gap at the top in whatever prompts I got next. But dragons are incredibly fun and frustrating to draw. I always try and think of like a T-Rex kind of skeleton when I'm doing the head, and try and work everything out from that, if that makes any sense. But I kind of like the idea that the dragon is kind of invading whatever this place is. And our next one was a candle golem. We ended up getting quite a lot of golems in this one, and I don't think I put that many in the prompt list. But yeah, just start with a simple outline, and I really thought this would be a really good light source. Continue the dragon along as well. Candles ended up being a big theme in this one, weirdly enough. Those of you who've watched a few of these always know that I struggle with trying to put light sources in. Not a problem for this one, so that was quite good. So yeah, just getting all the little gribbly details in there, all the little marks on the dragon, and then going in and filling in like the drippy wax on this kind of golem. It's kind of like a big blob of wax that's got random candles that are lit all over him. Okay, next one, watching portrait. So kind of a nice kind of quiet little spot here. It's always good to have a little kind of bit of quietude in your image. Lets the eye rest. So I didn't really want to make a big deal of the portrait. I wanted the dragon's tail to come through. I was getting a bit nervous about how far I was going to extend the dragon, so I thought this was a good spot to kind of just kind of have him end, so I didn't have to plan him too much further, and just getting his back wing in there as well. And yeah, you know, kind of a nice little corner piece, that. Our next one, a cracked crystal ball. Okay, so this could have ended up being quite a minor and small kind of thing, but I kind of wanted to interact with the environment a bit more, so I kind of like the idea that maybe the ball is cracked and it's released, whatever it's released, it's kind of caused the wall to explode, and you know, we'll see later on this kind of lines up perfectly with what comes next. Okay, and then we got a smoke demon. So this was kind of an obvious way to kind of have this kind of bat-like demon thing coming out of the crystal ball, like it's been trapped in there, and I thought that was kind of fun. I do like doing kind of ghostly, demony monster things as we go. Didn't know what was going to happen, who he was going to be facing off against. Like I never know what prompt is coming next. That's what makes these fun. I think I took a few more liabilities with this one, given that it was wizard themed. I thought I could get away with more, so I was less careful in thinking what I was going to line things up to. But fortunately, our next one was an elemental, so it was quite good to have this kind of smoke demon facing off against this fire elemental thing, which kind of ties the wizard statue and the phoenix in fairly nicely. You know, like maybe this great wizard was a specialist in fire magic, and he's sort of, the statue is like an alarm system for invaders and things like that. So at this point, I think I decided that we had like a wizard sanctum. That's what it was. And I think I called it Wizard Top, because I thought it sounded kind of funny. And with the storm of letters, I kind of thought, well, with all this chaos, all these kind of scrolls and spells are getting blown out the window to cause chaos wherever they kind of land. Which would make an interesting quest for kind of players to try and gather them all up wherever they've gone. They could have gone fairly far afield, from deserts to forests to the outer plains, wherever your game is set, you could have them go in there. And I didn't kind of fill in that kind of inside wall at the bottom of the panel because I wanted to give myself a little bit of leeway in case I wanted to put something exciting there. I didn't know what. And then it's just a case of getting the big fat smelly pen out and kind of just filling things in. I could do this digitally, but I kind of like having it kind of done. I will say there are little bits I forget to fill in as I'm going because I tend to do this in the morning. So I do a panel every day, and I'm not always as awake as I should be when I do these things. So sometimes I leave it. If I've got a lot of work to do, I'll do the big black smelly pen thing later on. But yeah, there we go. We've got a kind of a row done. So far I'm feeling good about this kind of invasion to this wizard sanctum. I think it's quite exciting. It's quite fun. But yeah, I always feel a bit better when I've got a row done. And then we've got yet another golem. We've got a stained glass golem. So this was kind of a good fun one to do. I like the idea that the golem was maybe part of the wall, and since the dragons kind of invaded, it's activated the golem to kind of break out of the wall and come to life to protect the wizards in the sanctum. So just a fun idea, really. And yeah, I kind of like this guy. I kind of like doing golems. They are good fun. And then our next one was an old wizard, so it was good to actually have a living person in here. I did have a few different types of wizards on the prompt list, but I think I only rolled 2 of them in the end. So yeah, just an old kind of Gandalf-like wizard, kind of maybe commanding the golems to attack the dragon. But yeah, I mean, that's the nature of prompt lists. You never quite know what you're going to get. And I wanted I can finish the candle golem now, and I like the idea that he's leaving kind of blobs of wax wherever he goes. And our next one we rolled an enchanter, so another wizard, which is good. And I kind of thought that the enchanter would be controlling something with this kind of magical energy coming from her hands. I didn't know what yet, and I think when you see the finished thing, it's open to interpretation what she's actually controlling, because I kind of forgot about it, which is what happens quite often. And then we got levitating stones, and this is the great thing about doing random things. So because I just decided to have the crystal ball kind of pop the background off and break that wall, this kind of lined up really nicely, completely by accident, but it was a really nice kind of way to create a bit of visual interest in the environment. So I think whatever chaos has happened to this sanctum has got a lot to do with that crystal ball. Like whatever secrets it holds, they're out, and everyone wants a piece. Okay, our next one's Smouldering Summoning. So I kind of like the idea of this ritual spell with this kind of ghostly, kind of smoky hand coming out. And initially I thought it would be going to kind of attack the elemental. Maybe it's like a demonic kind of spell that's gone awry a little bit, but I changed my mind when I did a few other things. Mostly this one, the Undead Bookkeeper. So yeah, I just wanted this creepy kind of undead guy who's maybe not got all his faculties together, and he's just kind of compulsively stacking books around him. Kind of like the stacks of books at the start of Ghostbusters before they meet the ghost in the library. I kind of imagine that's sort of what he's doing. And the demonic kind of hand coming from the spell book, I imagine is just wanting to knock them all over. Whenever I see things stacked up, I really have to fight the urge sometimes not to knock them over. maybe there's more to read into that, but anyway. And then we got a glowing moth, so this was another amusing thing. I like the idea that I could do this kind of giant moth in the corner, just eating pages of these books that the bookkeeper is unaware of, and will slowly devour all the spell books in the library. And I kind of imagine this was maybe a normal sized moth, and it didn't glow until it ate a few spells, and now it's huge and all that. And then we've got another row done, so we can see what that looks like. Starting to hold together quite well. Some interesting stories going on, which is always nice to see. Next one, we got Chain-Bound Grimoire. So Grimoire is kind of like a potentially evil spellbook. So I like the idea that this has kind of fallen out of the hole that the golem has left. So maybe it was propped up against the window and now it's fallen out. And it's changed to something. We don't know what it's chained to yet. But whatever it is, I'm sure it will be interesting. And then we got Chained Monster, so sometimes this works out really nicely, that you get two things that line up. And I kind of want this monster to be kind of like a big frog. I had an idea for the tongue to continue across a few different images. I had no idea what the tongue was doing. But the grimoire is just chained to this frog's wrist, so whoever wants its secrets has to do battle with this kind of horrific demonic frog. Okay, and the next one we got was Floating Teacups. So this is a random thing that I did not know what to do with, so I literally just did Floating Teacups. I kind of imagine that maybe this is one of the things the enchanter is controlling, or maybe it's just a random effect from the crystal ball, and just continuing those pools of wax as well. And then Candlelit Rune. Now originally I thought maybe this is where the candle golem has come from. So again, lots more candles and just a nice big rune stone in the middle. I imagine this is maybe a protection thing, like a warning system. It's kind of revered and people light candles around it for good fortune and things like that, but we don't know. We don't know. Next one is Shattered Mirror Portal. So it's always nice to put like some kind of glowy, swirly portal thing, and I kind of imagine this is maybe fallen off the ceiling and crashed down into the candles, as caused by the crystal ball's chaos. But again, more candles, so lots of light in this one, which is really nice, and just a nice swirly pattern in there. And then broomsticks. So I absolutely love the broomsticks in Fantasia, and I kind of thought that maybe all this mess has kind of activated these wizards' broomsticks to start cleaning up. And that's literally it. That was as far as that idea went, but I kind of like it. I kind of think it's a fun little nod to something that I think is an absolute work of genius. So yeah, if you've never seen Fantasia, you should go watch it. It's very good. Then we've got Spectral Tutors. So I imagine these are ghostly teachers that have long since passed. They've seen the chaos. They're just grabbing books and fleeing the wizard's sanctum. So yeah, I think I put ghosts in almost everything. I'm going to have to do something without ghosts in it at some point. I don't know what we'll do, but I'll make an effort for December's one to not have ghosts in it. December's prompt list should be on the website now if you want to download it, by the way, and have a go yourself. So yeah, we've got the third, kind of depends which way you look at it, but technically our third row done. And yeah, it's starting to feel like a dungeon now, which is good. And now we've got a rune blade. So, because I'd committed to this part of the dungeon being outside, I kind of thought, how do I incorporate the rune blade? So I thought, I'll just have it attached to the chained grimoire, which works quite well. And I was starting to think about how I was going to put the shadows in underneath it. Again, this is kind of a quieter kind of piece of the puzzle, just so you haven't got complete chaos all the time. You've got something to rest your eyes on. And yeah, okay, what did we get next? Library of Infinite Doors. This is another one that caused me a bit of a headache. largely because I'm outside now. So I kind of thought, well, I'll do this little kind of attachment to the outside of the sanctum, and maybe this is like these doors can go absolutely anywhere. And I like the idea that the wizards perhaps are a little paranoid, so there's quite a few different ways to get in or not get into this place, and this is one of them, which becomes a theme as I move along this kind of outer wall. And yeah, just kind of quite fun to kind of do this weird kind of isometric geometry that really cannot work in real life whatsoever, and just filling in the brickwork and starting to think about that tongue, that big tongue, and where it might go. So yeah, we shall see. And then the big fat smelly pen comes out, and I can get some of those lovely shadows and get a brief sense of achievement that I'm coming to the end. Okay, and another golem, a potion golem. So this one, I didn't want it to be as massive as the other golems that we've got going on. I was sort of preoccupied with this tongue for these last few days. I didn't really know where it was going, so the potion golem is literally a cauldron filled with some kind of liquid, and the arms are two kind of test tubes attached to the cauldron somehow. But yeah, not quite as big as the other golems. And yeah, just having that tongue kind of snake outside the building just to create a bit of visual interest, which I thought was quite fun. Like, makes this kind of frog monster seem more dangerous than perhaps it would initially seem when you see how long this tongue can go, so it can grab anybody from anywhere. Next one, iron-bound vault door. So again, this is another one of those kind of red herrings that the wizards have kind of put. They've kind of got this great big steel door that looks like it holds something important, but really it's just a door into the sanctum. I like the idea that the tongue has kind of bashed its way through and snaking in and out of the building. Not too much more to say about that, really. Again, I had no idea what the tongue would be actually doing or when it was actually going to end at this point, and I was starting to get a little bit nervous, but sometimes you just got to trust the process and see what you get. And then we got probably my favourite prompt of the whole thing. We got the phantom cat, which really allowed me to finish the tongue off as well. So I like the idea that maybe the tongue has been chasing this cat, and the cat, like all cats, has finally had enough, and he's turned around and he's started kind of scratching at the tail. And you'll see when I put my effects on later on that that's when the cat really kind of comes across as kind of more ghostly than anything else. But quite a fun, simple little character design that I think works quite well. And yeah, always nice to have something a bit cute in there, I think. All right, and we're almost at the end. So a giant eye. So again, this is kind of like an early warning system on the outside of the building. And I love kind of things, like the eye of Sauron and things like that. I love the idea of this giant eyeball that can see for miles and miles and miles. And the wizards use it to kind of spy on people and see if anyone's going to attack. But obviously, whoever the attackers come from within with the crystal ball and all that chaos. And yeah, really kind of think that's kind of a weird feature to have in a building, so pretty pleased. And the very last one, we got a ruined archway, which makes a nice kind of, yet another possible entrance for the dungeon here. And I put a rune on it, a big rune. I've no idea what that rune means, if it means anything. It's just something I kind of made up. I hope it's not a real rune and doesn't mean anything awful, but yeah, there we go. So yeah, and that's pretty much the dungeon done. So you can kind of see it here. This is kind of the finished thing. I tend to leave it for a day or two to let the ink dry, then I scan it in, and that's what we get. And then my next stage is to do the fixes, so make all the darks darker and the lights lighter. Didn't have too much to do. It was really just tidying up a couple of shadows. Didn't have to redraw anything. Which must mean I'm getting a bit better at these, because the early ones I used to have to redraw quite a lot. And then our 3 tones of grey that really brings it to life. Really pleased with this. So anything that was going to be an effect, I leave in white, and then everything else gets 1, 2 or 3 layers of grey over the top of it. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it there. And then our base colours, so I want it to be very purpley. November makes me think of purple for some reason. And then just kind of whatever's a solid colour, kind of like the frog monster, the dragon, the wizard's robes, things like that. They all get a blob of colour on them. And then the effects, so anything that glows or is supernatural gets an effect such as fire or the crystal ball or anything like that. And I put some stars in the background just to make it seem like maybe this is in a pocket dimension or something like that. And then finally a title, so we called it Trouble at Wizard Top. And yeah, big thank you to the patrons, and if you want to buy anything or you want some prompts, head to oddartworks.com. Alright folks, I will see you on the next one. Take it easy. Bye now.